agenda, the City Council unanimously authorized negotiation of an exclusive negotiating agreement with Palm Communities with respect to the 10-acre parcel for affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. City Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Councilmember Harnick.
Here.
Councilman Jonathan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Weber.
Here.
Mayor Nistandi.
Here.
All present.
Okay, thank you. And now we will be led by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Councilmember Savvy Jonathan.
Thank you, Mayor. Please stand and join me in honoring our great country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And then we will be led by Councilmember Harnick for the inspiration and invocation.
Thank you. And today I would like to share a quote from Judge Learned Hand, thought to be one of the finest judges in the history of the United States. What then is the spirit of liberty? I cannot define it. I can only tell you my own faith. The spirit of liberty is a spirit which is not too sure that it is right. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which seeks to understand the minds of other men and women. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which weighs their interests alongside its own without bias. The spirit of liberty remembers that not even a sparrow falls to earth unheeded. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Harnick. That was very, very nice. Okay, so we will move on then to presentations. And our first one is by the Living Desert presentation by President and CEO Alan Monroe. Alan, I see you on as one of the participants. If you want to unmute yourself. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So I want to take a few moments and give you an update on the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens, some things that we are working on. So I've got a screen share I think I can do here. Everybody see my opening slide?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So not everything that happened in 2020 has been bad. You know, I'll remind everyone that this is the 50th anniversary of the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens. And so we're glad that we're able to celebrate that and recognize all that we have been able to bring to the community. You know, our mission is all about building connections between the general public and letting them be better educated citizens so they're making better decisions about uses of natural resources. And we do that by creating connections between the natural world and the plants and animals that call the desert home. The zoo has a lot to be proud of, one of which is that we are the #1 zoo in North America based upon actual consumer reviews. The other thing that's important from your guys' perspective is that we are an important part of the local tourism economy. We generate about $50 million annually each year in economic impact, both through our own spending as well as the tourists that come here and spend additional money on hotels, restaurants, gas stations, and things like that. We are also pretty important to the residents in Palm Desert. And of our 14,000 household members who are members of the zoo, about 20% of those are Palm Desert residents. I was looking at the numbers on the population of Palm Desert is, I think, like 53,000. We have had almost 30,000 Palm Desert residents visit us in the last year. So more than half of your residents have utilized our facilities to come and have a great moment with nature and learn more about the natural world. We had a little event here earlier in the week that I wanted to thank the council members who came and a couple of my board members, as we had a chance to dedicate a plaque commemorating the support of the Palm Desert city for the Living Desert over the last 50 years, and also setting up the expectation and hope that we can get a similar amount of support for the next 50 years. And, we like to be able to work with our partners, and we think we have a great partnership with the City of Palm Desert that can help us on both marketing, educational components, and making sure that we can all be successful as we go forward. There are two things we're passionate about at Living Desert. The first stuff is education. And so each year we typically bring about 100,000 school-aged children here. And it might surprise you how far away they come. So as far away as El Centro in the south, or as far west as Long Beach, are parents and teachers who put their kids in a van, a bus, or a vehicle and drive them here to Palm Desert for our educational programs. So we are a Southern California educational resource, and it's great to be recognized as such. Unfortunately, this year, these yellow school buses are not going to be rolling in our parking lot. And so we are adapting to a virtual format, like many other places, and we are creating digital content that we can supply to teachers so they can still have a connection to our educational services. We're also looking to develop something for parents who are at home forced into educating their kids, so that we can provide a resource for those parents who are looking for a chance to get out of the house, go someplace and have a little bit of fun, and make that a learning opportunity for their school-aged children of all ages. The second thing we're passionate about is our conservation programs. We currently are working in 10 different countries around the world on about 30 different conservation projects where we're trying to make a difference for a wide variety of animals. We are also working on sharing that educational and conservation experience with the global community. So we have an event coming up next month on November 14th, the International Desert Conservation Summit. This was originally going to be an in-person event, but obviously as things are now, this has transitioned to a virtual event. So you can go to our website and get a reservation and a access ticket for this. This event will have 10 of our conservation projects speakers who will be able to give presentations and also answer questions about conservation projects from a boots on the ground kind of perspective. So if you want to learn more about conserving cheetahs in Namibia, or painted wild dogs in Zambia, or giraffes in Tanzania, this is your chance to get a up close opportunity to ask questions, to learn firsthand both what the Living Desert is doing, and also to hear from our conservation partners some of the realities of trying to protect these amazing endangered species. We are currently working on an expansion for the park, not a physical expansion, but an expansion of our habitats. And so this is called Crossroads for Conservation. So just to orient you, the bottom edge of this photograph is close to Portola Avenue. And we built a new special events center, new welcome for our guests to come into the park, admissions and ticketing. We are currently working on phase 2 of this, which we are calling the Rhino Savanna, since the rhinos will be the key signature species that we're having here. We'd like to be able to tell their conservation story, highlight the work that we're currently doing in Africa, and do the best we can to make sure these amazing animals do not go extinct. There are less than 5,000 black rhinos left in the world. And if we don't get really busy and change people's minds and attitudes about this, they may not be here much longer. So here are some architectural renderings for what this is going to look like. The project is currently under construction right now. We are busy with the permitting process, and we thank the city's planning, building, and permitting teams. They're helping to facilitate this process for us. The plan is that we will be able to open this in the November of 2021. So a little over a year from now, we'll have a grand ribbon cutting ceremony. You all, the council will of course be invited to that, and have a chance to see this amazing habitat. I believe you've been sent a video snippet from a separate email. So if you want to look at the more detailed rendering of a video fly through, you can do that. But this is the sort of look and feel we're going for this experience. It'll be very similar to our current giraffe savanna. We'll be taking advantage of these wonderful mountain views that we have and having up close and personal opportunities to see these amazing animals, including a rhino feeding opportunity. Rhinos are amazing animals, but till you can look them eye to eye and see that lump of keratin on their nose, there's nothing magical, There's nothing special about it. It's just compressed hair fibers, and it really belongs only on the rhino's nose, not on our fireplace or shelf as a memento. The other thing about rhinos is that they have really short, stubby legs, and so they can't scratch behind their ears. And so they will sit there all day long with someone with an old-fashioned fuller bristle brush on the end of a handle and scrubbing back and forth across their back. They'll sit there like a puppy dog all day long. And I think it's a great opportunity for guests to see this as an experience. And this is what we're shooting for. We're bringing a breeding pair of black rhinos. We want to be able to add our technical expertise and our spaces to the insurance population of rhinos that are in human care to try and make sure they do not go extinct. And there is nothing cuter than a little baby rhino. They are bundles of joy and energy as they learn to explore the world and hope for a bright future for their species. A couple things that are coming up. This weekend will be obviously Halloween, and we will celebrate Halloween. This event is a great community outreach. It's a fun place and safe to take your family. This year, we had to limit the capacity for this to maintain our COVID safety protocols. And on the one hand, I'm glad to announce that this event is sold out. But on the other hand, that means that parents that might have been a little slow on the trigger will not be able to bring their kids to the Living Desert to undergo any kind of trick-or-treating experience. But just around the corner is our Wildlights experience. And so tickets for that are already on sale. And we already have thousands of people that have already reserved their spots. So I'd encourage you to share that message that because of COVID, we have to limit the number of people that come through each night. And so the key nights are already booking up, and you do not want to be left out of this exclusive opportunity to come to the park, see all these wonders of the millions of twinkle lights, have a chance to get your photograph taken with Santa, not on his lap anymore, but in a COVID safe fashion, and leave messages for Santa about what you would like to have brought down the chimney on Christmas Eve. We're obviously in a capital campaign to help fund all these expansions that the park is doing. The Pride of the Desert will be a wonderful opportunity for community members to support us, help in the bringing of these magnificent animals to the park, and continue the growth and development of the Living Desert Dunes Gardens as a wonderful treasured asset here in the Coachella Valley and in Palm Desert particularly. So I want to thank you for a few minutes educating you about what we're doing, and thank you for your past 50 years of support, and hope we can count on the next 50 years of being wonderful partners as we try and make the Coachella Valley and Palm Desert a great place to work and live. Any questions I can answer or?
Thank you. Alan, you're doing an amazing job despite the COVID and the shutdown. You're just really doing a great job leading the zoo, the Living Desert, forward. So you're to be commended.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's obviously a little challenging as the county goes back and forth between purple and red and all the new requirements that are coming out. But we are working hard to be an active partner with the county health department to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make our staff, our guests, and even our animals safe in this new situation. And being able to open up as a resource for the residents of Coachella Valley. They want someplace safe they can go, outdoors, socially distanced, to have a little fun and relieve some of the stress and pressure that we're all under as we're trying to live with this COVID situation. We're glad to be an opportunity for people to come and do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions to Mr. Monroe? Well, thank you for your time today, and keep us posted, and look forward to the future.
I will. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, then the next presentation will be by the Sunline Transit Agency, Chief of Public Affairs, Brittany Sowell. Okay, thank you, Brittany. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Sunline Board Member Kelly, and members of the City Council. Can you guys all hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm seeing heads nod. I'm Brittany Sowell, Chief of Public Affairs and Clerk of the Board for Sunline Transit Agency. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can see the exciting things for the student art contest.
Now you're cutting out a little bit.
So I took a break and as I shared screen, and I'll get right back to my talking points here. It's my pleasure to be here to extend a very gracious thank you on behalf of the entire team at Sunline to the City of Palm Desert for co-sponsoring the 5th annual Student Art Contest.
Brittany,
The goal of the art contest is, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, I hear
Okay.
you again. You had cut out a minute ago, but now I hear you fine. I think we all do.
Let me try bringing the microphone up. Does that help?
Yes, that's good.
Okay. The goal of the art contest is to instill in local students a sense of community while they learn about the importance of clean energy and public transportation. Value partnerships like this allow Sunline and the City of Palm Desert the opportunity to reach students who might not otherwise be reached. Through art, students become stakeholders in their community while being educated about the importance of transportation infrastructure. This year's contest added an additional layer of importance as it offered students an opportunity and a potential way to relieve anxiety and work towards a goal while continuing their schoolwork at home during COVID-19. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, an in-person unveiling event was not possible, sadly. And instead, Sunline held a virtual unveiling ceremony on its Facebook page last week. And to view the ceremony, we would ask that you please visit Sunline's Facebook or Instagram page, and I'll include those URLs at the end of this presentation. And I want to provide a special thank you to Mayor Nestandi for participating in the digital event and providing a sponsorship message on behalf of the city. The City of Palm Desert sponsored the bus showcasing the elementary school category artwork of Jasmine Kaligov, a 5th grader from Amelia Earhart Elementary School. And you can see her drawing on the side of the bus here. As a thank you, Sunline created a short video to showcase the city's bus with the student artwork and bus tail ad designed by the city. Staff advised Sunline that a video has not been the friendliest of technology for your Zoom meetings, and we have instead offered that link to staff to distribute to City Council. So instead, we bring you pictures here today of the unveiling event that was used for the virtual event itself. On this slide are the links to the full virtual event and then the special Palm Desert thank you message that can be viewed by council and residents at a time that's convenient for you. Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council, for all of your time today and your sponsorship of this well-needed and well-liked event in our community.
Thank you, Brittany. It really is and was a great event, art contest, and I was very happy to participate. And we look for any opportunities here at City Council here in Palm Desert to help the youth in our community, and this was another good way. So I speak for all of us. It was an honor to be participating in this with Sunline. Are there any other comments to Brittany? Okay, thank you, Brittany, for sharing your time today.
thank you.
All right. With that, I will say non-agenda public comments. This is another opportunity for the public to speak on issues that are not on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. City Clerk, do we have any public comments to report?
I believe we do. We have some in the queue. Gloria will take over and elevate them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number one and foremost here is Mr. Phil Stein. I'm going to scroll through the list here and find him and elevate him. Mr. Phil Stein, you have 3 minutes.
And Mr.
Okay.
Stein, before you start, I'll give you a 30-second notification when you're getting close to 3 minutes, okay?
Thank you so much. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a complaint with Burtech. A couple of years ago, this is the recycling center, not at house. A couple of years ago, they were using green trash cans to pour glass in at their facility. The bottoms were worn out, glass would fall through. I remember a piece hitting me when it fell to the ground. So I pursued to go after Burtech to help their employees in the community in buying new recycling cans to pour your recyclables in. And that happened, I complained about not finishing one person at a time. And this, what I mean by that is you pull in line, you start unloading, they only had so many containers, and then they would take another person, and there was not enough containers to complete your transaction, so you had to wait till that person was done. On January the 8th of this year, one day before I had cancer surgery, I went to Burtech. I did not have time to sort all my cans and bottles out, and I was told that I needed to do that by their personnel. And she said, there's a sign posted. And I've been going there for years, and I never saw this sign, so apparently it had just been put up. I let them know I was going in for cancer surgery the next day and thought I would receive a little bit of compassion. Everybody just stood around and told me that I must leave the premise and go out and sort the bottles. That was at 3:45. They closed at 4. I did not leave the premises, and I stood my ground and said, I'm not leaving. I asked for the manager of the recycling. His name was Balazar, and he was not there. So we all stayed and waited there an hour and a half till he came, along with the operation manager, and the office manager, Christina. One thing that was disappointing is that after this incident occurred, I wrote a letter to Frank Collette, the, I guess, general manager, never had a response. And it's kind of disheartening when you're going in for cancer surgery, you want to get rid of everything, not knowing whether you're going to live or die. So that was my instance. Last week I waited 20 minutes in line. Somebody else comes behind me, had less than me. They take him ahead. He didn't have to wait at all. There's a man on a bicycle that will come constantly. He doesn't have to wait. I just think, it's fine once in a while, but you don't go to Costco and they don't ask you how many gallons of gas you're putting in to see who's going to go first. In a supermarket, you don't wait in line, and ask who's got a smaller order. So it really perturbs me. Anyway.
All right, go ahead and wrap it up, Mr. Stein. And I am meeting Frank Corlett tomorrow, as a matter of fact, so I will absolutely fill him in on your concerns and get back to you as well on behalf of the city. All right.
Thank you. Just one other issue real quick is with the Column Theater. We don't know how to get our money back. My wife has tried to call them. They've tried to call Barry Manilow's Christmas line. No answer. We've got close to $1,000 invested in tickets, and we don't know how to communicate with them. I would like to know if someone could contact me back to let us know how we can get our money.
Sure, sir. I will do that tomorrow. You got it.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Evett Edens from the Desert Cancer Foundation.
Council, do you want me to give the 30-second notification or not? Yes, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Mr. Edens, you have 3 minutes.
Mr. Edens, I will let you know when you have about 30 seconds left, okay?
I think
Okay,
it's
I
Ms.
will be quick. It's
Yes.
Miss
I'm
Edens.
so sorry.
Ms.
Apologize.
Yvette.
It's okay. It's spelled
That gives you an
differently.
extra 10 seconds.
Good afternoon, City Council members and Mayor Nastandi. I'm Yvette Edens. I'm the new Executive Director at Desert Cancer Foundation, and I just wanted to introduce myself and say thank you for all of your continued support, and most recently the sponsorship of Paint El Paseo Pink. It was a virtual event and it went quite well, better than expected. We hope to, of course, come back with the normal, usual event next year. I'm honored to serve on this organization and to serve this community, and it's been a challenging year for all, of course. Many events have been canceled and businesses continue to struggle. And unfortunately, when it comes to cancer and cancer care, that does not stop. People still get sick, people still get diagnosed. So I just wanted to say that we appreciate all of your support, and we continue to help our local residents and pay for cancer care. And we just thank you for your partnership and support. That's it. Just wanted to introduce myself and say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Following is Mr. Michael Hackett. Mr. Hackett, you have 3 minutes.
Very good. Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, City Council members, for allowing us a moment to speak. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the council to our growing alliance, VROM PD, which stands for Vacation Rental Owners and Neighbors of Palm Desert. And we are here to work with the council to enact strong common sense rules pertaining to short-term rentals. We firmly believe it would be very uncomfortable living next to a rental that continually hosts groups that are indifferent to the peace and sanctity of the neighborhoods in which they are staying. We believe that enacting thoughtful policies, safeguards, and rules backed up by strong enforcement will allow STRs to coexist seamlessly in our neighborhoods. It's our #1 goal to work with the council. That said, we are well aware that the council is rapidly moving toward banning STRs citywide outside of HOAs. We are firmly against this approach of an outright ban. We believe that it's not the solution. Our membership is rapidly growing, and we have done significant community outreach, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. We currently have 26 local area businesses from El Paseo, as well as up and down Highway 11, that have committed their support to the STR community, and we've only started 4 weeks ago. We are cautiously optimistic that the council will join us and engage in a productive dialogue so that we can enact strong new rules that address the concerns of some of our neighbors. As the council knows, many cities that had enacted similar bans, outright bans, had those overturned by their residents via local measures with overwhelming support. They won because the residents understand that STRs have a huge economic benefit to the local economy. The voters also understand that common sense solutions, along with teamwork, can solve issues our neighbors might have. The benefits of STRs cannot be understated, and we believe the residents of Palm Desert, including R1 and R2 neighborhoods, will come to the same exact conclusions as the residents in cities all over the United States. VRON Palm Desert strives to be your partner in addressing the concerns of some of our neighbors. We believe that they have very valid concerns, and we are completely empathetic to those concerns. We have a strong desire to work with all and solve any of the issues that they may have. Again, we are VRON PD and ask to be your partner in finding solutions to our neighbors' concerns so that our members can continue to be one of the engines of our local economy and help share our amazing city. Thank you so much.
15 seconds, Mr. Hackett. Thank you.
I look forward to communicating with you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Cody Carlson. Mr. Carlson, you have 3 minutes. You'll be giving 30-second warning.
At a time when people are losing their jobs, millions moved into poverty, this council is considering getting rid of jobs and hindering the local economy. There are people sitting at home tonight wondering if this council is going to take away their jobs. Not the short-term rental owners, but the vast number of great people we employ. These wonderful people are now stressed, wondering if they will lose their ability to support their family, if they'll lose their ability to provide food and shelter for their family during a pandemic. The reality is there are small businesses closing all around us, jobs disappearing overnight. Short-term rentals contribute a large number of jobs to the Palm Desert community. And any decision to further ban short-term rentals should be seen as an assault on economic justice. People need these jobs now more than ever, and this council should help them keep those jobs by forming a commission with owners, neighbors, and city employees all working together. We can work to resolve issues that would allow these jobs to remain while creating a great neighborhood for everyone. Any vote against short-term rentals before forming a commission and allowing teamwork to fix the problems would be a vote without a fair shot. Give short-term rentals a shot. Please do not turn your back on these wonderful people and their jobs. You can't tell us in good faith that this issue can't be solved. I won't believe you, because that isn't true. This country put a man on the moon. You cannot tell me we can't solve this problem. This country solves problems. We are a world leader in solving problems. The America I know and love is a country that solves problems. We don't run from them. We face them head on and we accept that challenge. That is the American way. And Palm Desert is as an American a city as any. Let this commission build the blueprints for our future. So again, I ask this council to consider alternatives to a ban as the first step. I ask this council to support both sides in finding a mutually beneficial relationship for the city. As representatives of our city, I ask that you understand that this is a problem we can solve together. Teamwork, something we teach our children to be proactive with. Teamwork, the driving force for a successful community. Teamwork, because together we can solve anything. Thank you, council.
Next is Miss Annie Bartabetian. Miss Bartabetian, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you again for this opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My comments also will address the city's proposed ban on short-term rentals on PR zones. I actually personally went and spoke with residents of Palm Desert, more than 50 people, I may say. And I asked what their concern was, and I wanted to relay their message to you. They are generally not against short-term rentals, and they want solutions and not a ban. They believe a ban will open doors to other problems, especially now with the state of California allowing 2 ADUs on R1, R2. They do not want to turn their beautiful landscaped homes into 3 packed up units, but will consider it if they had to. I will also do the same if I have to. We all know how these ADUs will completely change the essence of our beautiful neighborhoods. It will, of course, bring more problems, more noise, and more parking and traffic and crime. So therefore, we just came up with some suggestions, which I actually heard from the people that I spoke with. First of all, I would like for you to consider grandfathering existing permits. Don't ban them. Set a cap on permits, just like they do with alcohol permits. X number of permits in a specific area. Maybe the short-term rental owners collectively can hire a private security company to handle noise complaints. We can redirect the phone calls to the private security rather than the sheriff's office. One more important issue I want to bring up. You must look into false complaints. It's occurring more frequently and turning ugly, where it's pitting homeowners against each other. Please look into ways to stop false complaints and penalize those who do, because they're taking away time from you, from the code enforcement, from the sheriff, for completely false complaints. In conclusion, I kindly ask the council to look for solutions, consider the people's suggestions, and not only simply ban short-term, because by doing so, we will create more problems. Thank you.
Next, I do not have his last name, therefore I'm gonna allow Frank in. Frank, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Can I be heard okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Good evening, Honorable Palm Desert City Council and Mayor. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm a Palm Desert property taxpayer, owner, and VRON member. During the October 15 meeting, there were countless requests by short-term rental owners to be able to participate in the subcommittee discussion of STR issues and ways to improve the situation. Honorable Council Member Kelly, I noticed in the past you served as a neutral arbitrator and mediator resolving conflicts. We are in conflict right now between certain neighbors who feel STRs need to be banned and owners of STRs who want to work with those neighbors to improve relations. I hope you use your professional experience to be a neutral arbitrator and involve VRON members to be part of dialogue in order to resolve this conflict. Honorable Council Member Jonathan, according to your city bio, you are a CPA and you have a strong interest in taxpayer rights. As STR owners and Palm Desert taxpayers, we have a right to be heard by the city subcommittee on how we can improve current STR issues. Please honor our taxpayer rights and consider meeting with VRON members. Honorable Council Member Weber, I noticed you are the only council member on the city biography page to openly invite community members to meet with you. We have sent in numerous emails requesting meetings and participation in the city subcommittee. We hope you honor your statement and set up a meeting with VRON members. Lastly, Honorable Council Member Harnick, as a representative on the executive committee of the Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau, I hope you understand the importance that STRs provide for visitors to Palm Desert. VRON members would like to meet with you and share our experience in promoting Palm Desert to visitors staying at our short-term rentals. Honorable Mayor and City Council, please consider meeting with short-term rental owners through VRON and form a formal city commission consisting of STR owners, community leaders, and business members before taking further action against short-term rentals. Through healthy dialogue, I'm confident that we can solve any problematic issues so that the families of Palm Desert and the short-term rental owners can operate together to better the city and neighborhoods of Palm Desert. Thank you for your time.
The last person in attendance for non-agenda public comments is Mr. Olivier Shen. Mr. Olivier, you have 3 minutes. Mr. Olivier Shen.
Yes, hi. Council, thank you for all your help in guiding the city through the crazy times of COVID, the elections, and life in general in 2020. As a homeowner in the community, I've built strong, positive relationships with each and every one of my neighbors. Our partnership has allowed us to work well together, trade business, trade stories, and have really wonderful family time together. While we are part-time residents, we also believe in strong neighborhoods and creating strong partnerships with the community. Supporting our locally owned businesses, especially the hardest hit small restaurants, small shops, and service businesses. Short-term rentals have been part of the Coachella Valley for more than 50 years. We believe in setting a strong gold standard for being great hosts in the tradition of those that have come before and have operated successfully. Standards like in-person check-ins, finding and penalizing guests and evicting guests that are not abiding by the rules, active video surveillance and noise monitors throughout the properties, and regular private security patrols. Other standards like limiting neighborhood density and providing a strong program for recommending and providing discounts to those businesses and to continue to help people enjoy the entirety of our community. We believe that this is a strong, positive future direction for short-term rentals in our community. And I'd love to see us work together to make that happen. Thank you.
That was the final attendee for non-agenda public comments.
And Madam Mayor, we do have 2 written items of communication. You have one from Mr. Sharo that is asking for more public involvement with the STRs. And you have another one from Mr. Carlin that asked me to, or asked City Clerk to read this. Just take a second. You can time me if you'd like. Vince Carlin, I'm writing to encourage the council to amend and expand Palm Desert's existing STR ordinance to incorporate areas zoned PR As a homeowner in an R1 zone, I cannot stress enough how much my own quality of life has improved as a direct result of the council's decision to phase out STRs, one of which was located directly adjacent to me. I think it is both a matter of both consistency and fairness that all owners of single family, not including HOA residents, have equal treatment and be able to benefit from the discontinuance of clearly commercial enterprise in areas of our city originally intended for residential use. Thank you for your consideration. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we will move right along and go to the consent calendar. All members listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and may be approved by 1-minute motion. And I will now see if any of my fellow council members wish to pull an item. Councilmember Jonathan.
Thank you, Mayor. Could we pull item 6, please?
Item. Seeing nobody else, do I have a motion to approve the remainder of the items, less number 6?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Harnick.
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Weber.
Yes.
Mayor Nistandi.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 with the exception of item 6.
All right, so item 6 is to approve a 3-year funding agreement between the City of Palm Desert and the Coachella Valley Economic Partnership. And Councilmember Jonathan, do you want to speak to
On a
this?
little presentation or not first or what?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. No, it's fine. My concern with this item is that the staff report contains an invoice from CVEP for the upcoming annual contribution of $50,000. And I completely and fully support that and the work that CVEP has done. I think we all do. But for some reason, staff's recommendation is to commit to a 3-year funding agreement, even though that is not what the invoice is for. I'm concerned about committing future councils to something that they do not separately address on their own. And I would favor approving the payment of the invoice for the 1 year of $50,000. I understand that there's a rescission right, but frankly, it's not going to come up. It'll be automatic, and it takes a lot to rescind a commitment. We learned very recently that sometimes it's much better to look at funding issues on an annual basis. So I completely support CVEP, and I would favor approval of the invoice that they submitted, which is for a 1-year commitment of $50,000. If there's not further discussion, then I would make that a motion.
I'd like further discussion, please.
Okay.
And I serve on the CVEP board and the executive committee as well. And I ask Mr. Alvarez, why is it that we are putting forward a 3-year rather than a 1 year? And of course, like Councilmember Jonathan says, I am completely supportive of CVEP and all the great they do in our community. I'm just wondering why we've chosen this approach.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. This was really an approach for us to put in place an agreement that would carry over each year, but given us the opportunity to fund and appropriate as well each year. We've seen a variety of support from CVEP. They're doing great work. This is really more a procedural for us to get ahead of the agreement and put it in place and then revisit it through the funding process in the budget. But a 1-year commitment is perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of staff? All right. Do we have a motion to approve item 6?
Well, I placed a motion on the table for approval of payment of the invoice that we received, which is for 1 year, $50,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, let's have a
And
roll call vote.
I'd like discussion at this
Oh.
time.
Okay,
I understand why we did 3 years. I'm listening to Mr. Alvarez. And serving on CVEP. I think it makes good sense. They do great work. There's no question about that. And their work should not always be going out and fundraising. They have more important things to do than that. And I can tell you from sitting on the executive committee, for chairing the executive committee as I did, that it takes a tremendous amount of their time, and they are about as lean of an organization. I think they have 5.5 people, or maybe it's 6.5 people working at CVEP and producing work that any organization should be envious of. And they showed some of the work that they do. And right now they're working on the summit, Becoming Essential, which is the economic summit. And they're doing it with, again, I can't remember if it's 5.5 or 6.5 people, but to ask them to spend their time going out fundraising is not a good use of CVEP's time. And for that reason, I do support the 3-year contract.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you. I don't mean this to be a referendum on the worthiness of CVEP. I think you'll find very disagreement, and I know that CVEP holds a special place in Councilmember Harnick's heart, as it does in all of ours. This is a question of fiscal responsibility. We may have a different makeup on the council next year, and then maybe a completely different council again, in the 3rd year of this commitment. CVEP is asking for 1 year, and I'm sorry, but it's the reality of every nonprofit to raise funds. It is an important part of their existence. I think to send out an annual invoice is not asking them too much, to give each council an opportunity to consider their request. And $50,000, especially these days, is a lot of money. I think is appropriate fiscal responsibility and allowing each council year to year to make their own decision. If CVEP does its job, and I'm sure that they will, they'll have no problem, and they won't have to spend more than a couple minutes sending out an invoice and depositing the check. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Councilmember Weber.
Yes, for clarification to Mr. Alvarez, if we don't do this for a 3-year funding agreement, how would this be brought up in budget so that we could be budgeting again for 50,000?
We actually include this allocation, and we bring it forward in the economic development budget, the department budget, and then we receive the invoice. This year's a little bit different. We wanted to memorialize the funding agreement so that we have something that we can turn to that allows us to set criteria for our return on our investment. But certainly each year we can visit it and bring back that funding agreement and have the council decide at that point.
Without a 3-year, you're saying we would still bring it up in budget. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Kathleen Kelly.
Thank you, Councilmember Weber, for that question, because it helped me to crystallize this. So let me ask this further question. Does the 3-year commitment assist in asking expectations from CVEP that cannot fairly be completed in a single year? Because if that's the case, then there is some sense to making a commitment. And of course, much that is done by way of economic development does require spade work and fertilizing that occurs over a period of more than 1 year. So can you tell us whether the notion of the 3-year commitment was connected to some specific deliverables that warrant that time frame?
The funding agreement does not necessarily commit or require, I guess, results over a longer period than just the year that the funding is being asked for. So it does not obviously economic development is a long-term process, right? There's a lot of things that happen in the economy and affect the process to succeed, but the funding is not affected by the length of the agreement.
Thank you. Councilmember Harnick.
Thank you, Mayor. So I like the gardening analogy. Thank you. For CVEP to have funds that they can count on, it's critical for the good work they do. And I understand about when we talk about other councils, and not everyone understands what CVEP does. This council has had the good fortune to go through the iHub process and to understand the value that they bring and the long-range planning that's involved with CVEP, looking at our education and the cybersecurity program and those sorts of things as we go forward. These are not small plans. It's not, these are the plans that CVEP makes are not able to be completed in a year's time. As we all know, the plan for the economic development and the diversification of the Coachella Valley's economy is not going to be done in a year. It's going to be done over several years, and their plans are included in projects that will take several years. And their vision is several years. And I really hope that you can see the value they bring and the time it takes to bring the plans and the diversification in our economy to fruition, where we can hopefully bring the jobs and the education that are needed to truly, again, I like the theme of their economic summit this year, becoming essential, because that's what we need to do, and that's what they're working on. It doesn't happen in a year, and they need to be able to count on this, and hopefully we can set a standard for other cities to understand how important it is. We got hit hard, and they talk about this in our staff report. We got hit hard in the economy for the fact that tourism is not essential. And we know that. So it all was put to a close. And so many people are hurting in this valley. So for us to think that we can fix it in a year is not realistic. And CVEP needs to have some security going forward. And again, I hope we set a standard that other cities and other entities and other sponsorships will see as the gold standard, the right thing to do for the Coachella Valley.
Thank you, Councilmember Harnick, and I believe you make a very compelling case for it, and I am persuaded to go with the suggested staff report of 3 years. However, we do have a motion and a second for the 1 year. So if I understand correctly, we need to vote on it first, and then we can.
Well, let me make a substitute motion to approve staff's initial recommendation.
I would second that.
Discussion?
Councilmember Jonathan.
And that's fine. It's fine. My concern now, however, is I don't think any of us want to indulge in favoritism or a lack of transparency. So for all the reasons that my colleagues and staff have spoken in favor of multi-year commitments, I assume this will now be our city's policy rather than an exception to the rule. I mean, for all the passionate advocacy of making a commitment that goes beyond 1 year, I assume the logic of that will apply to all of those other organizations that do engage in fundraising and come to us every year and make their case for our commitment of taxpayer dollars. Is that staff's understanding as well, or will this be a one-off exception to the policy?
Well, I believe it should be on a case-by-case basis.
I don't understand the logic of that assumption, actually, but I see Susan Marie has the.
Yes, I just had a comment on this because it says very clearly appropriation in future fiscal budgets. That's why I was asking Mr. Alvarez. By having this in place, it automatically will go on to our budget study, and then we can say, no, not this year. And I'm looking at Councilmember Jonathan to see, are you uncomfortable with that appearing on the budget for us to review because it's on a contract? Do you think it's going to slip through or?
Yeah, I think, you know, when we look at the budget, as we all know, it's massive. You know, in print, it's a 3-page document with hundreds, if not thousands of pages. And, you know, if something has already been committed to, it would take almost an act of God to uncommit that. We ran into that very recently already, as you know, and circumstances change. And I think a fresh look every year is warranted. However, I recognize I'm in the minority and I have no problem. I defer to the wisdom of the majority in this instance. My concern now, though, is that we not engage in favoritism. And, you know, the argument was made that it's less time for staff, that it's better for the organization to have a longer term understanding of its financial support. And frankly, that argument can be made for the hundreds of organizations that we support, that we contract with, that we get an invoice for and make a commitment. If the arguments that were made in the case of CVEP are worthy, then those same arguments should hold to all those other organizations that come before us. I'm just pleading for consistency and transparency.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kathleen Kelly.
Yes, so just very quickly, for the record, the portion of Councilmember Harnick's arguments that I found persuasive pertain to the particular mission of CVEP and the length of time that is necessary for economic cultivation. And I do not see this as creating a precedent.
Okay.
If I could just clarify just one point, if I may, Madam Mayor.
Sure.
This item, the agreement itself, in terms of the goals and objectives, is a 3-year process. Each year, this commitment is only for 1 fiscal year. We will bring it back to you through the budget process to allow for the council to decide if the next year's 50,000 is eligible or available.
Thank you for clarifying. All right, so we have a revised motion and I will second it. May we have a roll call vote?
For clarification, this is staff's original recommendation.
Correct.
Councilmember Harnick,
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan,
Opposed?
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Nestandi.
Yes.
Motion carries on a 4-1 vote with Councilman Jonathan voting no.
Madam Mayor,
Okay.
before you move on, can I suggest, Councilwoman Kelly, if you could move your microphone a little bit further from your mouth when you speak, it would be perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I made an adjustment in the system that helped the volume. So is its current position appropriate?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move on to the action calendar. Request for authorization to purchase 3 patrol BMW motorcycles for the Palm Desert Police Department from BMW Motorcycles of Riverside in the amount of $87,214.62. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, we do. Stephen Ariam, the floor is
Okay.
yours. Your mute's not on, but we still can't hear you. That's pretty good.
Can you hear me now? Sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Steve Arion, the city's risk manager. The Palm Desert Police Department's traffic enforcement team is currently comprised of 1 traffic sergeant and 4 motor officers. Approximately 8 years ago, the department switched to BMW police motorcycles as their primary response unit. And this type of bike is widely adopted as a standard motorcycle by various law enforcement agencies, and primarily because of its purpose built for police use, and it incorporates this mission in its design, safety rating, and flexibility. The table within your staff report identifies the current motor fleet. And as you can see, we'll be going from a fleet of 9 motors to 7, with 2 serving primarily as a spare and a trainer bike. In 2012, the City Council at the time approved a police motor replacement schedule. Under our current traffic enforcement team staffing model, this schedule is no longer realistic and operationally inefficient. The city last purchased a replacement motor back in 2017. Due to the subsequent reorganization of the motor team, staff recommends a modified replacement schedule where a motor would be replaced every 5 years, which is typically when we see the total maintenance costs reach and may exceed in some cases the original purchase amount. So with this action tonight, we're asking to replace 3 of the vehicles with new vehicles. We are using a bid from Orange County, who last year bid and awarded to BMW Motorcycles of Riverside the purchase of a similar motor we want to purchase today, and their solicitation and contract are attached to this report. The Palm Desert Municipal Code does allow the city to piggyback on contracts that have already been competitively bid, which is what we are doing here. I also want to say that the cost for each motor is approximately $29,000, and for all 3, it'll be approximately $87,000. We are using what's called Citizen Option for Public Safety, our CalCops grant funds, which the council did accept the award earlier tonight with their action under the consent calendar. We will not be using any general fund appropriation. In closing, the Public Safety Commission also recommended City Council approval for staff's recommendation at their October 14th meeting. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And with us tonight is also Lieutenant Matthew Martello from the Palm Desert Police Department. Thank you.
Councilmember Jonathan.
Thank you, Mayor. Quick question. And by the way, Mr. Arian, thank you for a thorough, comprehensive report. Always appreciated. So I know I'm wrong, but I thought we reduced the number of motor officers by 1, and I thought we went from 4 to 3. Apparently, I'm wrong about that. Can you clarify?
Yeah, we had various action. We originally started out a few years ago with 8 motors and 1 sergeant. Council back, I want to say in 16, 17, went down to 6. And with the lax action at the for this fiscal year, we were down now to 4 motor officers and 1 traffic sergeant.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no other questions, open for discussion?
Like Mr. Arian said, the Public Safety Commission reviewed this at great length and totally supported it. So I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Harnick.
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Weber.
Yes.
Mayor Nestandi.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next item, consideration for approval of a sponsorship request for Desert X for the 2021 exhibition. Do we have a staff report?
We do have a staff report. I think Ryan and or Amy are handling it. And we did receive a written correspondence from Congressman Ruiz's office on October 26th in support of this.
I actually do have a report, a quick one. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Amy Lawrence, Management Analyst, and the report before you today outlines a request for sponsorship of Desert X's 2021 exhibition. You have my report in front of you. I'm available for questions, and we also have Jenny Gill, Executive Director of Desert X, available for questions as well.
Councilmember Jonathan.
Thank you again, Mayor. Quick question for Ms. Lawrence. In your report, I did not see a projected budget for the organization. And historically, when we get funding requests like for Fashion Week or Food Week or whatever, we go through a budget and make sure we're looking at what directors are being compensated and so forth, and do they really need these funds? So do we have a budget?
The budget was reviewed during the Art and Public Places Commission meeting. Jenny Gill is available to answer any questions about the budget if you'd like. And here she is.
I don't have any specific questions for Ms. Gill. I have a hard time understanding completely, and maybe we'll leave that to discussion. But I also tried to look at recent actual financial reports, and which are public, and looked like the last one filed was in 17. So I guess you're confirming that at least in our report and the information we've been given, we do not have historical data or projected budget. Is that correct?
Not in the information that we've been given.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions of staff? Seeing none, open for discussion. Any discussion? Here, Councilmember Jonathan, you're using all your chips today.
After this, I'm almost done.
Okay.
It's good to be engaged though, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing.
I always
Okay.
enjoy
It was,
your comments.
I want to
Absolutely.
take it as a compliment then, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
So, I am concerned about the lack of financial transparency, and I think at a minimum, we would need to continue the matter, give us an opportunity to look at the finances as we do with every other organization that comes before us. But I have a greater concern. I am disturbed at the thought of supporting an organization that has significant ties to Saudi Arabia. We're in a time of increased awareness of racism, prejudice, and intolerance. By supporting Desert X, we condone the actions of Saudi Arabia, a totalitarian regime that practices Sharia law, where homosexuality is illegal, where women are lashed for being the victims of rape, where non-Muslims, especially Jews, are routinely abused, and where brave members of the media that dare to criticize the regime are brutally murdered. Desert X has failed to repudiate its relationship with Saudi Arabia. In fact, they flaunt it, or even to disclose the level of support that they have received from Saudi Arabia. And in fact, several of its board members resigned as a result of this action. Our city should seize this opportunity to oppose racism and human rights violations and pass on supporting an organization that has ties to one of the worst human rights violators on the planet. A vote to provide financial support for Desert X is a vote to condone the brutal, racist acts of Saudi Arabia. That, in my opinion, is not Palm Desert way. Thanks.
I appreciate your comments, Councilmember Jonathan. Any other council members? Okay, seeing none. Oh, I actually see Councilmember Weber. Your hand first.
Okay, thank you. I'm also concerned about not having financials. It's like Councilmember Jonathan said, normally when we do this, we see financials and we also have a clear understanding of the nonprofit's intent and plans and so forth. I've been persuaded that Desert X was a wonderful organization in that art seems to reach past humans, I guess, that are in charge of various countries. And that I've been focusing on that quite a bit. However, to not understand where the money's coming from, I don't understand that. Why that should not be, that should be something that's fully available to us to see. And I'm looking at Miss Lawrence because we discussed this in the Art and Public Places. And I know they gave us a schedule of the expenses, but they did not give us a schedule of the income. And I can't believe that that is a confidential, it's a nonprofit, it shouldn't be confidential. So I'm looking at Ms. Lawrence, is it possible to get a statement of where all their income came from, for example, for this last show that seems to be controversial, that would outweigh my excitement about art reaching past all of the political aspects that are going on in the world. You know, that's the one thing that art seems to be able to do. We just discussed that with the children's art, reaching past all of the issues that are going on today. So, Ms. Lawrence, did you have an answer for us on that?
I can certainly request that information from them and bring that back before the city council.
Okay, so with that, I'm persuaded to agree with Councilmember Jonathan that we should postpone this until we have more information of the financial aspects and so forth. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Mayor Pro Tem Kathleen Kelly.
Yes, I too agree that we should postpone our decision until we have the financials in front of us. I don't agree that by contracting for art, we condone all actions of anyone with whom that artist has ever had dealings. And perhaps that doesn't need to be more exhaustively discussed until this comes back to us for decision making. But I do want to go on record saying that consideration of contracting for this art is not a judgment condoning the behavior of all entities with whom this service may have had past dealings. If we went down that road, I think it would be a very, very precarious road. But I concur with what my colleagues have recommended about postponement of this issue.
Well, it sounds like we have consensus to
Yeah, I just want to be clear exactly what it is that, and I absolutely agree with what Mayor Pro Tem Kelly has said, and on the full scope, I just want to be clear exactly what we are asking for to be brought back in the way of, because we don't ask for what the directors earn when people ask for money or ask for grants, but we do ask for a budget. So is that what we're asking for today?
Actually, we do look at what directors are getting paid. That's very significant. When you give money to a nonprofit and you give them $10 and 9 of it's used to pay directors, that's a significant aspect of this.
I understand that, and it is important, but have we, when we've gone for the YMCA, do we know what, we never ask what the directors get. When we went to Desert Cancer Foundation, we don't ask what the foundation.
They're public record and we
Okay,
can
so-
see it.
But what I just want to ask, what is it that we are asking for in the budget to be brought back? Just so we get exactly what we want on the date that this is continued to.
Councilmember Jonathan.
Thank you. What I would like to see is historical financial statements for the last 3 years. Presumably, they're on a fiscal year that ends June 30th. So that would be the year that ended June 30th, 20, June 30th, 19, and June 30th, 18, as well as a projected budget for the upcoming year that includes this exhibit, both income and expenses, obviously. I might note that we do routinely receive information of a compensation of key employees as well as directors. Obviously, if there's room for financial abuse, it's in receiving contributions and then using those contributions to excessively compensate key employees and directors. So that's an important component. And we do, and not only do we receive that information, but when an organization is a 50C3 and properly files its 990s, its tax forms, that information is disclosed in detail on those returns. So I don't think we're asking for anything that the organization is not already producing.
So are we asking for 990s? Is that what we're asking for?
In addition to the financial statements, I'm asking for financial
Okay,
statements.
I
That
just
would
want to be
that
sure
would
we're getting what we want, and I want to.
Yeah. Just speaking for myself, it would be both a balance sheet and an income statement, sometimes called a P&L, for the last 3 fiscal years, as well as a projected budget for the current year And just to make it clear, because we don't want to play games, that includes both income and expenses.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, that was very clear. So do we need, so that's a motion to direct staff. Are you making a motion for that?
Could we do it on a date certain? November 19th is our next meeting. Can we have it by then?
Yes.
Yeah, I would make that a motion. I see Ms. Lawrence nodding her head.
Yes.
So to postpone discussion and review of the financials to November 19th.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Harnick.
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Weber.
Yes.
Mayor Nastandi.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0 to continue this item to the meeting of November 19th with the items as mentioned by Councilman Sabby Jonathan.
Okay, moving on to item 14, approve the relocation of the Palm Desert Certified Farmers Market to San Pablo Avenue. May we have a staff report, please?
Mr. Martinez or Ms. Mager?
Good
Ms.
evening.
Mager.
Good evening, Mayor Nastandi and members of the City Council. My name is Vanessa Mager, and I'm with the Management Analyst with the Economic Development Department. Before you is a staff report requesting approval of the relocation of the Certified Farmers Market to San Pablo Avenue. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Councilmember Jonathan.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Quick question. You know, and Ms. Mager, thank you for your report. I appreciate it. Farmers markets are traditionally held on weekends so more people can attend. Have we explored that possibility? I mean, I love going to San Pablo, but why not Saturday and or Sunday?
Currently, the Certified Farmers Market that we partner with already is committed for Saturdays and Sundays. But obviously we can definitely look at either working with a different market. They may not be certified. Or we can continue to discuss that with the current certified market we use to see if maybe that could be done on different hours on a weekend.
Vanessa, who are they contracted with now on the weekend?
The city of La Quinta and then the
That's
city of
what I thought. Yes, so wait, I interrupted you though. The city of La Quinta and who else?
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs, okay. All right, thank you.
I have a quick question also, and I saw that you are taking the time to gather information, and I think the first one is on December 2nd. So how, and I know you're gathering and you're working through the logistics. I'm a little concerned about parking. So can you shed some light on that?
Yes, ma'am. So we plan to utilize the side streets for parking. We've also reached out to the property manager for the village complex. We've had a nice conversation with that gentleman. He's not given us 100% confirmation as he has to speak with all of the tenants, but he did tell me that the tenants are excited. They've been waiting for this relocation because it's kind of been part of the discussions when planning was talking about the San Pablo development. So they're looking forward to it. We're willing to work with them to make sure that we handle any issues that might arise. Because as you know, with something new, you might not foresee everything, but we're happy to help handle all of it.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. All right. Any other discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second. Councilor Jonathan, did you have a comment or your?
Yeah, you asked for discussion.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm not opposed to approving this, but we're getting the short end of the stick, folks. I mean, La Quinta and Palm Springs get it on weekends. We get it on Wednesday mornings. Come on, we can do better than that for our residents, and I think we should. So what I would like to suggest is that we approve this because, you know, this goes October through April, so it's time to do this. But ask staff to work with the provider. And frankly, if they can't do it for us on weekends, there's others that can do a certified market for us. So I'd like staff to come back to us maybe in January and tell us where those discussions stand so that we can further evaluate whether to change our relationship, or hopefully they can just swing over to Saturday and or Sunday.
Because I thought it used to be on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then they moved it to Wednesday for some reason, thinking it was going to be a better time.
I think that was probably when La Quinta got it on the weekend.
All right, Kathleen?
And hopefully those conversations can be directed toward adding the weekend rather than substituting the weekend, because Wednesday morning does have a very substantial following. I always hear from people the first weekend it closes down. The first Wednesday it closes down because they're disappointed. And of course, for all our winter visitors and retirees, the opportunity to go on a weekday with a little bit less congestion is very attractive. So I do simply want to feature that the goal is to add the weekend, not to replace Wednesday.
Good point.
Understood, and we're happy to have those discussions.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank
All
you.
right.
And
So we
have
have a
those
motion-
discussions and reports us back in January.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call vote? City Clerk?
Councilmember Hardick.
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Weber.
Yes.
Mayor Listandi.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Item number
Nice job,
15,
Vanessa.
authorization to utilize remaining uncommitted Unite Palm Desert Economic Relief Funds to augment the Community Partners Program. May we have a staff report?
Sure, Martine, go ahead, even though I rewrote it erroneously. Parts of it, shouldn't even say that. Go ahead,
Good
sir.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The item before you is an opportunity for us to continue to assist our businesses, of course, that are being impacted by COVID-19. As you know, a few weeks back, our county and county cities were reverted back to the purple tier, which required additional restrictions and guidance for some of our businesses. In particular, our restaurants are only allowed to operate outdoors currently. And what this additional uncommitted money of $89,900 would allow us to move this money into our communities partners segment of the Unite Palm Desert Economic Relief Program. And the goal behind the additional funding would be to assist our businesses and restaurants to operate outdoors, including outdoor dining venues, and also for businesses that might be able to utilize outdoor space to provide services. The funding would be available for up to $3,000 as a grant to our businesses. They could utilize this funding to provide outdoor dining decks, shade structures, umbrellas, tables, heaters as we start getting into the cooler weather, and any other sort of safety precautions and protocols that are necessary to operate outdoors. The grants would be available to those that secure a temporary use permit. And as you know, we've currently allowed the waiver of the fee for that permit, and also the waiver of the fee for any building permits that are associated with those improvements. So the request again for us, from us, is to reallocate the $89,900 of uncommitted United Palm Desert funds to the community partners and to allow us to continue to help our businesses through this tough time. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Martine. Any questions of staff? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Kathleen Kelly.
Martine, the first focus area of Unite Palm Desert was the emergency loan program. And of course, we're very, very pleased that we were able to make $1 million available. But we know that some businesses, we were not able to fund some businesses to the extent they requested, nor some at all. And my question is, have you heard from businesses under Focus Area 1 that are still seeking some financial support to survive until we improve our statistics. And I ask that question because I'm wondering if we want to limit what's available now to focus area 5 and support exclusively those who are moving outdoors, or if we want to be slightly more broad to give ourselves the flexibility to meet some needs under focus area 1. So again, the question is, what are you hearing from people we weren't able to fully fund under focus area 1?
Thank you for that question, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, we have been hearing from businesses that were not funded during our first tranche of money. And this money that was left over, $89,900, were loans that were not responded to, or a funding that was, basically denied, not denied, but not received by the applicants. The problem that we're running into is that $89,000 would have to be, basically divided into about another 120 businesses that were not funded during the first round. And there wouldn't be enough, I think, substantial enough money to really help those other businesses that didn't have at that time complete applications. So that's why we decided to refocus this limited money into the businesses that are being currently restricted further into the purple tier to create that outdoor opportunity.
That makes sense. In your conversations with businesses under focus area 1, have you come across any sort of definable categories that you feel do need the extra help? Because as you said, it wouldn't really have any impact to divide this sum of money over a substantial number of people, but have you identified any discernible categories that seem to particularly call out for help?
No, not particular. The need is there equally, unfortunately. But what we have heard specifically as we've reverted back into the purple tier, that has, of course, restricted restaurants specifically in terms of the indoor opportunities to serve.
Thank you.
Perhaps we can, if I may, Martine, we can survey some of the businesses, restaurants and otherwise, to get some feedback from them and see what kind of needs they might have that we're just not thinking about as well.
One. It was with Mason almost on the radio. None that they are. Okay. Councilmember Harnick?
Additionally, and I understand the idea of helping people now that we're in the purple tier, take their businesses outdoors. Is there any kind of looking at the applications of those that we were not able to fund initially in that number 1 category? Is there any way that they might be able to get a little bit of preferential, a couple extra points in the process towards the number 5 category? Because we weren't able to fund them, maybe we can help them with the decks. I know there were some, specific restaurants that did not get funding, and perhaps we can help them in this grant process.
That's a good
Something to
idea,
look at.
Councilmember Harnick. Yeah, Martine, does that make sense what Councilmember Harnick was saying? Of the 120 restaurants we couldn't help, if any of those are open to outdoor dining decks, maybe they get a couple extra points to get the aid.
Yes, absolutely. Those weren't all restaurants, the 120. There were some in there for certainly, and we can definitely look at those and see which ones we were not able to meet the need.
Mayor Pro Tem Kathleen Kelly.
Yeah, I don't know if we've slipped into discussion, but perhaps what we could do, assuming we're eager to move forward quickly, is just to authorize the Economic Development Subcommittee to work with staff to fine tune the criteria for distribution.
Okay, that makes sense. Councilmember Weber or Jonathan, do you have discussion or any other questions? No?
Mayor Nistandy, we have 2 people in the queue before you take action.
Thank you. All right, let's hear it.
I will elevate Mr. David Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher?
Good evening, council members and mayor. Thank you for taking the time this evening to listen. We have 5 restaurants on El Paseo in our buildings, and I've been working with each of them in moving forward with adding dining decks on El Paseo for them since we've moved back into the purple tier. I wanted to make sure that I'm sure you're aware that how difficult it is for the restaurants to operate only outdoors, especially in our climate. It's better now, of course, but in working with these restaurants, it's come to my attention that these dining decks are fairly expensive. We're talking anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, depending on what the size is, just for a simple temporary one, not for anything fancy. And so besides the deck, you have outdoor tables, chairs, umbrellas, heaters, lighting possibly, that the restaurants have to deal with. And so in looking at the staff report, I know money is tight. Money's tight for everybody, but the restaurants are extremely important to us and our community. And so if I wanted to suggest that if there's any way to increase the amount from $3,000 to something larger, the need is going to be there for these restaurants because there's nowhere else for most of them to operate. And in finding out how much these decks actually cost, I was surprised. So I know that La Quinta did an alfresco program, and I believe they were reimbursing their restaurants for up to $10,000. And so I wanted to make myself available to you tonight if you had any questions regarding this, as I've been intimately involved with it for the last 2 weeks, and pass on this knowledge to you so you can make a wise decision this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Fletcher, thank you for that report. And I so wish we had more money in this pot of money. And if I do the math, if we give everybody 10,000, that means we can only help 9 restaurants. And then what if we have 20 restaurants that need the help? So I like the idea, Mayor Pro Tem Kathleen Kelly, that we let the Economic Ad Hoc Committee look at this and come up with a better idea on how to move forward.
Finally, I will elevate Sally Hill. Miss Sally Hill, you have 3 minutes. Miss Sally Hill?
I think you need to unmute yourself, Ms. Hill.
Sally Hill?
Does she have an email or a written comment?
We do have an email. No, we do not have a written comment.
You have an email you can share, unless we can.
An email address. We have an email address.
Oh.
No written comment.
Okay.
No phone number. Is Eric Borkus there still?
No, he did not log in.
All right, so Sally is the last one.
Yes.
Okay, well, maybe if she comes back, we can let her speak.
Okay. All right.
I suppose I would like to move approval with the addition that council authorizes the Economic Subcommittee to work with staff on refining the criteria for distribution of the funds.
Second.
I'll second that motion. All right, may we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Harnick,
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Nistandi.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, that brings us up to the information items, and we have one. It's an update on the increase of COVID-19 testing efforts in Palm Desert. May we have a staff report, please?
Sure, Mr. Gary, you have the floor.
Great, thank you, sir. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Chris Gary with the City Manager's Office. Last council meeting, Mayor Nistandi requested staff to identify ways to increase COVID-19 testing within our community. As we know, the California Department of Public Health recently changed Riverside County from the red tier to the more restrictive tier, largely based on low testing volumes, as some of my colleagues have commented on this evening. Consequently, many of our non-essential indoor business operations and other sectors have been impacted by these recent changes as well. So now a few council meetings ago, we presented on the city's ongoing efforts and partnerships to offer drive-up COVID-19 testing at a nearby location. These testing events have been in partnership with the Borrego Community Health Foundation as well as the Desert Recreation District. And at the time of beginning testing, it's our understanding we're one of the few cities who are partnering with healthcare agencies on providing testing opportunities. So as a part of the city's comprehensive response to the pandemic under Unite Palm Desert, we began offering testing really to provide an additional access for a public health benefit for our residents. And ultimately, we viewed testing as having the potential to save lives. However, the purpose of testing now is really taking on an additional meaning, and that is to help mitigate the state's restrictions placed on our business community and other sectors as well. And so I have just a few slides here on our existing and future testing efforts and partnerships. So bear with me briefly. Very good, and I imagine everyone can see the screen. Now, since July 20th, we've coordinated 7 testing events that have resulted in 392 residents being tested for COVID-19, in which 223 were Palm Desert residents. And I forget the number a few weeks ago. I think it was 277 or somewhere in the 270 range. So we've increased our testing since the last presentation as well. Of those tested, 13 residents received positive results, and 2 of them did require hospitalization. And it's my understanding both of the individuals who required hospitalization are have now recovered as well. So there was an additional 88 residents tested who did not have insurance and were provided this service free of charge. And now 29 residents now have access to health care by signing up for state-funded health insurance as a result of these testing events. So moving forward, there are currently 4 testing events scheduled in conjunction with our community partners. Two additional events are a continuation of our existing partnerships with Borrego Community Health Foundation and the Desert Recreation District. Those testing events are scheduled from 9 to 11 on Tuesday, November 10th, as well as November 24th. And in the past, the testing locations have not been disclosed until really the time of appointment. And that's partially due to encouraging residents to register beforehand rather than walk-up registration. It just kind of helps the flow of these testing events. However, in order to promote additional testing, we're revising our marketing materials and our community messaging to include the Palm Desert Civic Center Park as our drive-through testing location, particularly adjacent to the skateboard park. Furthermore, the city is excited to announce its partnership with the Palm Desert Area Chamber of Commerce, the County of Riverside, and the Desert Recreation District on offering additional testing events. And those testing events will be held indoors at the Palm Desert Community Center, and it's scheduled from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, November 12th through the 13th. So you can see that week. There's one week we actually have 3 testing events, so it'll be a busy week in the Civic Center Park area. So in regard to both partnerships, all entities involved, we're all currently working together on trying to find additional testing opportunities at these exact same locations as well, because it does not look like this is going to end anytime in the immediate future. So. And as always, staff and I are available for questions, and we also have available this evening with us Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Pat Scannell, who's been instrumental in coordinating these testing opportunities at the Palm Desert Community Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. As always, a very good report, and I'd like to thank Pam Scannell for your efforts. Do you want to address us at all, Pam? If you're there, you are. You want to say a few words?
Thank you. Yes. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. We saw the need for testing in the community because we had the state testing centers in Palm Springs, and then we also had them in Indio. And a lot of the reasons people were not getting tested was because they found it inconvenient to go to either of the extreme locations. Now I know everything is relatively close, but we sought for a more central location of testing, and the mobile testing unit became available in Riverside, and I put us forward and I said, just give me the dates, tell me where they are, and we'll find the location. And Christopher Gary was absolutely instrumental. Thank you so much in helping us to secure the Palm Desert Community Center. So we have the dates of November 12 and 13, indoor testing, appointment free, and everything is going to count to our totals. So this has also motivated other chambers in the area, such as Rancho Mirage, to seek their own dates for testing. So once we make a success of the testing on the 12th and 13th, and they are looking, because the hours are extended, they're from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. for testing. They're looking to help 350 to 500 people per day. That is the target. And if we can meet that, they will be happy to give us more dates. This is funded by the state's CARES Act money. And if that does run out, they'll have to wait until they get more. But they would like to see a success at this testing event on the 12th and 13th so that they can then commit to further dates.
I have a question.
Yes.
Wonderful news. Yes, Councilmember Harnick.
So we're asking people who have no symptoms to please go get tested.
Yes, we are.
Okay. How often do you want those people to get tested?
If they have a negative result, they can get tested pretty much as often as they like. Every 3 days, a couple of times a week. We've got different members of the chamber that have started up a group, and they're getting tested 3 times a week to try to help bump up the numbers of the people that are being tested. In our area, we are required to have 8,000 people tested per day, and we're just not making it. We're nowhere near close. And because of that, our numbers are being adjusted on both ends. So
And
our
Pam,
positivity-
when you say in our area, does that mean Riverside County?
Coachella Valley.
Coachella. 8,000 a day?
That's what they said.
Okay, I thought it was for our county as a whole, Pam, but I'm not 100% sure. I do know what's been frustrating is that this is one of the biggest reasons why we were put back into the lower tier, the purple zone, and our restaurants have had to close for indoor dining because we're not getting enough people tested. And
Yes,
it's really frustrating.
Yes, I was originally told it was 8,000 for the county, but then someone offered a correction to me saying that it was actually 8,000 for the Coachella Valley, which, you know, I think I would contest that figure, but I think it really is a county number, but I'm just going on what the latest information is that I have received.
Thank you. Anyway, I'm very thankful to our staff and to you at the Palm Desert Chamber for helping us do our part for our county, help us get reopened sooner rather than later. And I know, I think there's going to be a call for action after, once we get to city council comments, to get with the other counties and advocate the governor for a change in these arbitrary standards. Again, thank you, Pam. Okay, with that, are there any other comments? All right, well then we can now move on to mayor and council member reports and requests for action.
Chris, good job on that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
Mayor, can we take action on a receive and file on
Sure.
that report?
Yes, let's please do.
Councilmember Harnick,
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan,
Sure.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly,
Yes.
Councilmember Weber,
Yes.
Mayor Nistandy.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I'll start with Councilmember Harnick.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a quick update. Councilmember Susan Marie Weber and I, along with Chris Gary, are continuing the work to update the committee and commissions, the process, and the guidelines. So that is still working. And I know Mr. Gary is really working hard on it and has done amazing work kind of simplifying the process. So we appreciate that. With the Southern California Association of Governments, I've been having meetings with our Congress members who represent those six counties in the SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments area. And what we're pushing is that when there is a stimulus package that comes out, instead of just making it about bridges and roads, that when we talk about infrastructure, we're talking about broadband. And that's part of the definition of the infrastructure package so that we can invest in broadband throughout our valley. So we had 2 meetings, one yesterday and one the day before. And we're loud and we're saying it often. So hopefully we'll get this moving. Also, I wanted to commend the staff on Lupin Plaza. It got done quickly. It is a very pleasant place to be. And I know it's serving a lot of those restaurants that we keep talking about that must now have to-go and outdoor dining. And I think that's great. And Halloween, Cruising El Paseo tomorrow night. And I hope somebody can jump in and tell me. I think it's from 5 to 6:30. I could be wrong, but dress up your car, your dog, and yourself and come out on El Paseo. And then there's also the YMCA drive-through on the gardens, and maybe somebody, I don't know if Vanessa or Thomas is still around and they can fill in the blanks, but we need to support these types of programs to bring a little fun back to Halloween. And we need Halloween because 2020 just wasn't scary enough. And that's what I have.
Thank you very much. Okay, Councilmember Weber.
Yes. Well, we've noticed that things are hopping again because we've been having a lot of Zoom meetings in the last few weeks. And then, of course, we had the fun thing where Councilmember Harnick and I and David Herman and our city manager, Randy, and Andy Andy Firestein still on here. We had the great fortune of being at the dedication of the plaque, which we all know, and I'm looking at Councilmember Jonathan, which we all know we discussed at great length. So it was kind of fun to see it finally displayed in a very nice, prominent location so the public can see it. And then, of course, we got to the wonderful opportunity to tour the grounds in great comfort and see the construction that's going on for the Rhino display that will be here next year, and then also to see the Australian display and hear the kookaburra singing to us. So it's nice to have those fun times in between all of the other Zoom meetings that we're having. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Weber. Councilmember Jonathan.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been bugging the Living Desert to put that plaque up for years, and I think they waited until I left town on vacation to actually put it and have the ceremony. So good job on that, but I'm glad that the city was well represented, and more importantly, I'm glad to see the plaque is up because the community should know that we, the city, do support in a significant way the Living Desert.
Councilmember Jonathan, you were mentioned.
I won't ask what they said. I don't want to know. And I do also commend staff on Lupine Plaza. Great job. I'm hoping that in the weeks to come, we can get, every time I drive by, it's active and busy, but I'm interested in a report from staff at some point to gauge its level of success. Mayor, I do have one report and one request for action. So the report, we had a historic meeting, joint meeting of the CVAG, Coachella Valley Association of Governments, Executive Committee and Transportation Committee. There were two momentous occasions in that meeting. Number one is the Regional Signal Synchronization Program. Did I get that right, Jan? Thank you. Phase one has been approved to move forward. There was an approval of a construction management contract for just under $4 million. And that means we can move forward with phase one, which includes Highway 111, Ramon, and Washington. So as the executive director said, we will soon enough see tranches of 100 or so cars moving together without having to stop as far as they go, as far as they want to go. So that's exciting. And I know Councilmember Harnick and others have worked for years on that. So finally coming to fruition. And the second momentous action that was taken was approval of $53 million for the construction of an additional 20 miles of CV Link. That's in addition to the 3.5 miles already constructed. So we will eclipse the 50% marker because it's all told about a 40-mile track. So we will continue, as we are already seeing construction in Palm Desert, we will continue to see construction of CV Link. It is quickly becoming a reality. Jan, did I miss anything? Okay. So request for action very quickly. You know, we heard some discussion about red tier, purple tier, and I'm not going to get into that discussion because I know we all have our respective opinions on that. Of course, mine's right, but we won't go there. Here's the request for action. The County of Riverside, as I think you know, is in the process of forming a coalition of counties in order to give us a stronger voice in Sacramento. It's my hope that this will result in a more thoughtful and pragmatic approach to safely reopening our economy. Accordingly, I'd like to ask the council to authorize the mayor to send a letter of support to the county with regards to its formation of and participation in the proposed coalition.
Thank you, Councilmember Jonathan. I do hope the council will support that. I am very much in support of it.
Well, unless we hear objections, then I'm assuming that we can move forward.
Well, I'm concerned about this being sprung without seeing something in writing. Just like everyone, I want to see our businesses safely reopened. But the notion of endorsing a coalition without knowing precisely what propositions it's going to be advocating for strikes me as inappropriate. So I can't give an easy yes to let's jump on board when it's not clear what train we're jumping on board.
Fair enough. So you want it to be, I feel like time is more of the essence. Can we get that to you, say tomorrow or Monday at the latest?
Here's the thing, frankly, the county's going full speed in striving to accomplish this coalition. I don't think a letter from us is going to be consequential. The most consequential steps that we can take are local steps, locally encourage people to be entirely consistent in their mask wearing, in their social distancing, in their care with unnecessary contacts. Those are the initiatives that we can take locally, which are really going to have an impact on our circumstances and help not just our test taking numbers come down, but our positivity rate come down, so that no matter what the system is, we have a better chance of opening and staying open. I would rather see us put our energy on local initiatives of substance than to jump on board in a way that may feel good, but I can't be persuaded is wise.
Any other comments? Councilmember Jonathan.
Thank you, Mayor. With respect, I couldn't disagree more. You know, I think when the system that has been set up is broken, it doesn't matter how cleverly we game that system. I think that to have the directive that controls our lives right now comes from Sacramento. So we have to be heard in Sacramento. Certain counties in Northern California have been heard and they're having a grand old time. Other counties like ours are ignored. This is simply a strategy to give us a stronger voice. We have written, in my time on council, dozens of letters of support, and never have we said it's a feel-good kind of thing. We have to trust that when a city formally endorses an action of the county, that it means something. If it doesn't, we are more helpless than even I ever imagined. This is an innocuous request. The county is seeking to form a coalition by choice. They're not defining what they're going to do specifically because they need to form the coalition first and figure it out. But the upshot of forming the coalition is that it gives us a stronger voice. We are not being heard in Sacramento. And as a result, there are individuals, business owners, employees of those businesses that are suffering in quantities that are equal to, or in some people's opinion, exceed the impact of the health impacts of coronavirus. We have increased depression, addiction, domestic violence. We need to do something about it. And frankly, increasing our count is not the only thing we can do. This will add to our effectiveness. And I do think it's important that our voice be heard in Sacramento.
I'd like to hear from our city attorney.
Yes.
Yeah, this isn't on the agenda for an action item. This is a request for action. I would suggest, and given the controversy around the request, that if there's an urgent feeling this needs to go forward, then let's set up a special meeting. We can do that relatively easily, relatively quickly, and then we can get it on the agenda. If there's public comment, we can hear it, and then we can take whatever action you feel is appropriate.
So we could have a special meeting just really within, with public notice, what is it, 72 hours? So we could have, I'm sorry?
24 hours.
Okay, so we could have a special meeting, Zoom, and take the half hour that we might need and do it appropriately and have something in front of us to vote on.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't quite get that, Bob. We have on the agenda a request for action, and it follows that there's discussion of that request if one or more members disagree with that request. Typically, most council members respect the right of other council members to request action and they approve it. But on occasion, there's disagreement. Are you saying that when disagreement occurs, there cannot be discussion? I mean, we've gone through this. We've had urgent requests for letters of support, and there's been discussion. It has been a problem. How's this different?
Well, my understanding of the agenda request for action, request to put something on the agenda for action. And we've had versions of this discussion before where if it's pretty straightforward, to get it on the agenda, okay, we try not to have it devolve into a lengthy discussion as it has this evening. But the Brown Act requires that if we're going to have any kind of lengthy discussion, any kind of decision-making process, it needs to be on an agenda with public notice so public can comment. So, you know, we try to be a little flexible on that. And quite frankly, if there hadn't been extended discussion on this and that, you know, I would have been okay, but I think we've gotten beyond any real tolerance to the Brown Act.
So can we put this process on fast forward then? If this is important, we'd like to be able to read something to be able to vote on. And I would feel comfortable if I could read something.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I would move for, you know, the 72-hour notice, and let's get, it is urgent, get something in front of us and then an up or down vote. I would ask legal counsel also in the future to ensure that we have a level of consistency, because it seems to me that we need to understand, is the request for action a request for action, or is it a request for something to be put on the agenda? I'm confused, and I think we need clarification and consistency. But as far as this particular item, sure, let's get the letter before us. Let's give it an up and down vote.
And I do want to share, I believe Supervisor Spiegel, who's kind of bringing this forward, is her goal is to get the SCAG region and the SANDAG region, which is all of Southern California, together, so she can get those voices, which are pretty loud. And I think that will make an impact, hopefully in Sacramento, with SCAG and SANDAG.
And let me just very quickly say, it would be my hope that we can draft a letter that we can all feel good about. The difficulty with treating a request for action as let's do it right this minute is that there is no opportunity to accomplish that. So I would certainly play a constructive part in striving to produce a draft letter that we can all feel good about.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And it's also your turn for comments or call for action.
Well, you'll please know I don't have any action to request. I do have some information to share that I think will be of keen interest. Sunline Transit is close to launching a full redesign of the system. And one of the components that will include is funded by a CMAQ grant. And on a pilot basis, 4 specific regions within the area served by Sunline will be designated and geofenced so that travelers can call for a ride on demand to get themselves from the major bus trunk route to a destination or back to the major bus trunk route. So I asked Clay to display this because the gray area is going to be one of those pilot project areas. You can see it includes the length of Cook Street, traveling north from 111. That's by design to embrace CSUSB Palm Desert campus, as well as the VA clinic and Palm Desert High School. So by on-demand travel, this is a form of microtransit that we hope and expect will be greatly helpful in meeting transportation demands. It's scheduled to go live shortly after the first of the year. It's unfortunate that students won't be on the campus, but as soon as students are again returning to campus, this should be of great help in facilitating transportation for our students. So I just wanted to feature that for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. That's very helpful. I see the city attorney.
You know, after thinking about it, the council always has the option of adding an emergency item to the agenda.
Or fifth vote.
It's an issue that came about after the agenda was posted, and that requires immediate action, and you need to take a 4/5 vote on that. But that is your option in this kind of a case, if you don't want to kick it over to another meeting and assume you can, come up with some suggested language that everyone's on board with. But I mean, we could go through that exercise tonight, which may be quicker than trying to set up another meeting and
Well, one possibility would be by 4/5 vote to put it on the agenda, and then to appoint myself and Councilmember Jonathan to work on the language, because if the two of us agree, the probability is everyone will like it.
and that'll be for the mayor's signature. So
I'm fine with that.
that works.
Okay, so do we need a motion? And Kathleen, you made me laugh out loud. That was good. Do we need a motion to add this item as an emergency item? So moved.
Second. Third. Okay, roll call vote.
Councilmember Harnick.
Yes.
Councilman
Nice
Johnson.
solution, Mayor Pro Tem Kelly.
Councilman Jonathan.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Weber.
Yes.
Mayor Nistandi.
Yes.
Motion carries by a 5-0 vote to add this item to the agenda.
So if we're discussing that, then move to form a subcommittee of Mayor Pro Tem Kathleen Kelly and myself to draft a letter of support for the county coalition and the proposed county coalition. And I want to thank Mr. Hargreaves for his creativity in thinking outside the box and enabling this to move forward. And finally, I want to assure the council that what I have in mind is something innocuous that just encourages constructive movement towards a safe reopening of the economy.
Well, I'll second that, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
And can I ask for clarification on staff direction, please? So the subcommittee, and will we be doing a special meeting?
No.
Is that what you're asking for? No, November 19th.
No.
No, you're going to get a letter that I'm going to sign.
The subcommittee is authorized to finalize the language, so it
Thank you.
doesn't come back.
But
Make us
we'll look
proud.
to staff to scheduling that meeting and working with the mayor to perhaps start with a draft. Kathleen, does that work for you, for you and I to consider?
Sure.
So Randy, to answer your question, if we could direct staff to work with the mayor to prepare a draft letter for the consideration of the subcommittee, and then to schedule a meeting of the subcommittee, hopefully within the next few days.
I would think the supervisor probably has something in mind that you could move from there.
Good idea.
And we could possibly just circulate by email. It may not require accommodating both of our schedules.
Perfect.
Wonderful. And with that, city manager, it's time for you to make any comments you would like to.
Mayor, we need to take action on that
Okay,
motion.
let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Harnick.
Yes.
Councilman Jonathan.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Weber.
Yes.
Mayor Nistandi.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So Supervisor Spiegel probably has something from the city that she was a council person in, which unfortunately is the city of Corona.
Let's move on.
Were you going to read the proclamation?
That was virus humor right there.
Let's move on, please.
Yes, okay. We will have the economic strategic plan. We'll have an update for you on November 19th. You had requested that in the past. I want to let you know that's coming up. Want to let you know that the mayor signed a proclamation for 3 kids that have kayaked across the Salton Sea to raise awareness of the environmental and economic crisis in our region. It is Palm Desert High School student Leighton Jones and her brother Clay Jones and Desert Mirage High Schooler Evelyn Garcia. They kayaked approximately 18 miles across the Salton Sea from Desert Shores on the west to the North Shore on the north. At 4 a.m. on September 26th, and the journey took approximately 7 hours to complete. So the mayor put that together, and we'll be mailing that out on behalf of the city of Palm Desert. I want to remind everybody that elections, the city, Palm Desert City Hall at the northeast corner of San Pablo and Fred Waring still has the official ballot drop-off location Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. and extended hours on election day, November 3rd, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's at City Hall, northeast corner of San Pablo and Fred Waring. The cruiser night for Halloween on El Paseo is 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on October 31st. I was looking in the bright side to see if it was there, but Lori Carney brought it in for me, so it wasn't in here, but David did put in the San Pablo Farmers Market, which I remember him telling me he was very nervous about because I didn't realize it hadn't been voted on by the council. So I just outed that poor guy. I apologize for that. For what it's worth, weighing in on the multi-year contract for nonprofits, I agree with Councilman Jonathan. I think it does set a precedent to some extent, but one idea might be to do $100,000, one at $50,000 for 2 years, for instance, if you want to look at something in the future on that. Compromise. And then the last thing is the subcommittee for the subcommittee to talk about the commissions and the committees has been meeting, but there is one that is Thomas Soul, our marketing person, has asked me to get a couple of positions filled. He's got people to fill them on the marketing committee, and he had a persuasive argument in terms of that is separate and apart from the others. It's not appointed by the council, I don't think. It's integral to marketing, and he'd like to have them meet. And these aren't necessarily volunteers. These are people that are employed in the industry. I know he needs someone from JW Marriott, and I think he's looking for a replacement for someone that left from Desert Willow as well. So we will provide you with a comprehensive status report on November 19th on all of the commissions and committee meetings that you will have in place now. But if you don't mind, if he can fill those 2 slots, I'm asking you that. Actually, I'd like to go ahead and do that unless I hear otherwise. How's that?
I'm fine with it.
I don't think this is the right forum. I don't think your report is the right time to be taking action. I suspect this is pretty pro forma and it can be taken care of. I just don't think this is the right time. In other words, if I'm recalling correctly, the rules provide for some appointees to serve according to function, and it will be appropriate to approve these, but it should probably be on the consent agenda, not just throw it in at this juncture.
Okay.
Well, I would, okay, then if we are asking for action, I would like that on the next consent agenda on November 19th.
Correct. Very good. All right. With that, I'm about ready to adjourn the meeting unless the city clerk has any other public comments to bring forward.
Not on my end. Gloria, do you have any?
No,
Uh,
there is no.
As long as you're asking for that, we did have Sally Hill from Sweet Basil that did finally get back on the line, but I asked Martine just to let her know that that item was approved by the council, so.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we will adjourn the meeting of October 29, 2020. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone.
6:27 p.m.